Beate Chalette here, the Growth Architect. Thank you so much for checking out the Business Growth Architect Show. And today we're going to talk about a topic that I think is probably the most important topic for all of you. How do you get more of what you want? And hello, fabulous person. Beate Chalette here. I am the host of the Business Growth Architect Show, and I want to welcome you to today's episode where we discuss how to navigate strategy and spirituality to achieve time and financial freedom. Truly successful people have learned how to master both. A clear intention and a strategy to execute that in a spiritual practice that will help them to stay in alignment and on purpose. Please enjoy the show and listen to what our guest today has to say about this very topic. Today is going to be another solo episode. Thank you so much for giving me all the love for some of the solo episodes I've done. I'm really grateful for your great comments and feedback on it. So I figured we are going to do a little bit more of it to let you in on some of the learnings that I've had over the years and, make good on my promise to give you as many shortcuts as I possibly can to get where you want to go faster. The first thing, however, in order for us to get anywhere is to figure out where the heck that even is. And that sometimes people go like, yeah, just tell me what you want and then I'll give it to you, or tell me what you want and then you can follow that path. Well, if it was that easy, right? So what we typically do is we typically have a really good idea on how we can avoid or what we don't want. And I'm going to give you an example. So when you go, for example, in a restaurant, you may have made the decision to go Italian or Thai or, in the steakhouse, whatever your preference is. But what you exactly are eating may still change until the menu is actually in front of you. And on the menu, you then, if you're in a steakhouse, you'll go for whatever, the small filet, the 6-ounce filet, or you may go for the ribeye. You said you wanted to have something that was more sort of meaty, and this is the decision you made, but your decision didn't become clear until you were at the restaurant. Same thing, let's say if you go to an Italian restaurant, you might want to feel pasta for the evening or a pizza, but what exactly you're going to order most of the time only gets determined fully when you are actually in the presence of all your options. So when you are looking into how are you going to design your life and where are you going to go and what are you going to be able to create for yourself, the destination you want to go to, you kind of have to look at this from the perspective of what are the different business models that are out there so I can follow it. And here is the problem that I see with a lot of the internet marketing. And you hear me talk about this a lot because the deeper I get into it, the more I sort of really understand the manipulative aspect of it, or how really brilliantly this is organized to keep you constantly buying and wanting more stuff. And the objective really is, instead of giving you a menu, they give you one item. They give you the ribeye and they say, wouldn't it be great to have the ribeye? The ribeye is amazing. And here's everything that comes with the ribeye. And now you feel in the ribeye because we've been talking about the ribeye a lot. You've maybe seen others. And now you finally want to go to that restaurant with that super expensive $80 ribeye, whatever that might be, and go for it. And so a lot of the stuff that you're seeing that's coming at you is designed to give you an idea of something that's available to you, very much like a menu, so that you then get yourself convinced that this is what you want. But you didn't really make the decision. It feels like you made the decision, but the decision is really based upon this consistent advertising that you've exposed yourself to because you expressed interest in a ribeye steak, right? So if we are putting this now into the realm of how do you get more of what you want, the first thing for you is to look not just at one thing, but if you must look at everything and look at all the different business models. And that's really what we do here in, especially in the program, Turn Your Talent into a Business, that the business model has to be designed, and the business model has to be designed based upon what it is that what actually works for you. We have a lot of clients that are very creative or that have really big ideas. All of our clients are impact driven because that's the kind of people that we are attracting. But when they go into this, they say, well, here is the kind of business that I envision. And sometimes they don't know what the business should look like because they have no idea what the other business models look like. Well, that's why we are growth architects. That's what we do. That's what somebody like us does, is to help you identify and say, well, do you want a fully online model? Do you want online courses? Do you want to utilize the online model, but do really an in-person model with an online companion, which is sort of what we've really figured out. A lot of it is what's happening right now, is that people do not want to take another online course and be fully 100% responsible for their own learning. They are okay if it is done with you, where there's actually in-person learning with a companion. But the online only, if anybody promises you that this is the promised land that worked during COVID, is not working right now. So you may exercise some caution here. Now, if you want to figure out sort of what are the different business models that are out there, you need to look at people that you admire. And instead of just looking at their teachings or listening to the persuasive language that they're using, I want you to actually, and I still do this to this day, where I subscribe to their newsletter. And instead of just looking at the newsletter from the hype language, I look at the newsletter and I copy them all, or whatever the sequence that they're using. And then I have whatever 10, 20 emails, and I look, how often do they send these emails? Okay, they send them 3 days a week. They send them over 2 weeks. They send a total of 10 emails. Here is how they're closing. Here's the call to action. Here's where scarcity comes in. So that you start recognizing some of these principles that other people are using as they're building these business models. And then you can say consciously, this is what I want or don't want. But what's happening is they don't want you to know this. They don't want you to see this, because it's easier for them if they just put it in front of you and then you buy it. And then once you buy it, you're good, right? Then this one thing is going to solve all of your problems, which you probably have known by now is not really going to work. So how do you get what you want? Let's go always back to this question in this particular segment, is you get more of what you want when you actually start to identify some of the things that you do want. And if you don't want something, so sometimes people, and I'm sure you know the type, all they ever do is like, I don't want this. I don't want this. No, 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 no. That's a good start, even though that can be super annoying. Because what is then the opposite of that? So if you don't want to work 50 hours a week, well, then how much do you want to work? And if you have not done this, I can give you an idea of what your talent is worth if you just go and take the quiz at whatsyourtalentworth.com. We've done a quick quiz. I've created a profit formula where it literally calculates, a mathematical formula where it calculates what your earning potential is with this particular skill for the amount of time you want to work, with the experience that you have. It's kind of a kind of cool tool. So it's at whatsyourtalentworth.com. So if you haven't done that, highly, highly recommend you to do that. So with this earning potential idea now you know how much money you can make. Now you know all the things that you don't want. So that should really give you a pretty good ability to sit down and say, well, but what do I want? Does this sound good to me? And this is the exercise where we're now really getting into the much more spiritual aspect of things. If you're here, you probably heard about the law of manifestation, right? Law of attraction. So the original objective of this law, and this is a law that's been around forever and ever and ever, on whether that is Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, whether it's Wallace Waddle, whatever the teachings are that came before us, and going all the way back to the Greeks, is that these principles of visualization and manifestation have been in effect and known to mankind for many, 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 many years. So we don't go in this and we don't say that this is new, I invented it. That, frankly, is BS. So everybody who is coming up with information right now is giving a particular spin on how they interpret a particular teaching, but all the teachings exist. So you can find this out from different people, listen to different things, see what resonates with you and your style, and then find somebody that can help you to get to sort of this next level, right? Okay, so now we are in the spiritual aspect of how do you get more what you want. The key here is, and I thought I really understood sort of the law of attraction and quantum leaps and all these types of things until recently, when I really dug a lot deeper into the one piece that not many people really talk about. And the person that talks about the most is Abraham Hicks. That is an entity that channels Abraham and Hicks, two different entities. And the premise of the deeper spiritual part of manifestation is an energetic vibration. So, when we say people are lucky, well, people are lucky because they are in a particular vibration and then things just come easy to them. So you all have a zone of genius, a super skill. That is where you're in this perpetual vibration of things that are happening easily for you because you have so much confidence and knowledge and positive vibration in that one area that you say, "Oh, I don't even know why that works for me, but somehow it works for me all the time. I never have an issue with this." So for me, one of those things, my super skill is definitely listening to what my clients are saying and helping them understand what it really is that they want, and then putting a system behind it so that they can then go out and actually build it. Every single person I've ever worked with gives me the same feedback. They say, "How did you know?" I said, "I didn't know. It's you. It's in your head. My job is just to get it out of your head. Like imagine me with a fishing pole in the depth of your brain, looking for the pieces and pulling it out. But that is really easy for me. Like I can't believe that nobody knows how to do that. That's how easy it is for me. But that's my expectation. That's why I'm always in that vibration. That's why it always works when I work with my clients. I think in my entire career, I had one person where it didn't work. And that was a person that wasn't sure on whether she wanted to be a social media expert or whether she wanted to do Facebook ads or whether she wanted to be a motivational speaker. Now, I can't help somebody with, 16 different businesses. You have to have some sort of an idea and some self-knowledge and consciousness about yourself for me to be able to help you, just so we're clear about that. Now, when you're in this energetic vibration, this vibration helps you to feel something, to feel good. When you feel good, the world's easy. Nothing's ever a problem. When you're down, everything is a problem. And then everything that comes on top of it becomes a bigger problem because that's the attraction. You are in this vibration of negativity, and then more negative stuff happens to you. In this vibration of positivity, more positive things come to you. Now, you wish it to be positive, but the vibration is negative because you really don't believe it. Go back, I did a podcast on that with David Nagel, where he talks about the double binding message and how the message that you're sending out internally that says, "I really don't believe that I should be wealthy," or "I have all these money problems," or "Gosh, how am I going to pay my bills?" That's the negative vibration. And your head says, "I'm successful. I'm super successful. Things come easily to me." That's a double binding message because what you really truly believe subconsciously does not match up with your conscious belief system. So that's how you need to think about this from the perspective, am I focusing on the things that are not happening? Am I focusing on the lack or my perceived lack of something? And then you keep attracting that because that's where your energy goes. Because that's where the energy goes. So the trick is to find something and to literally trick yourself, trick your brain. That's why mindset work is so important, because you can't believe everything you think. You really cannot. So when your brain goes down that road and volunteers these 55,912 thoughts that you did not ask for, they're all negative, you're too fat anyway, and nobody likes you, and you said something really stupid last night, and you couldn't close that client, and the product sucks, and you had bad feedback, somebody said something ridiculous in Instagram or Facebook, whatever that might be. And suddenly you're in this spiral of negativity. And then you wonder why you cannot get to this prosperity level of getting more of what you want, because you're stuck in fighting literally your own belief system. So that's why we made this decision at the Growth Architect to add more spirituality into the strategy, because the strategy is only as good as your spiritual underlying belief is and your ability to understand on how to use these kinds of principles. So now I want to move over a little bit sort of on how this all kind of comes together. How do you get more what you want? Let me just make this very clear. This is a lifelong journey. It will never end. I used to think that there was a point where I was going to get there. and then somehow magically everything would fall into place. You heard me talk about the here's and the there a lot lately because I have made a conscious decision that what I was doing, especially after my spiritual journey, just wasn't working. And, and I'm successful in anybody's book, but I don't feel successful. So I've been not seeing the success that I would wanted to see with this business, even though I have rental property and I have money in the bank and I have investments. That's all good. But I still have a lingering sensation of something that is not aligned. And it drives me nuts. It drove me crazy. That's why I did the spiritual journey, only to find out that this was a lot of the trauma that I experienced as a child, and to discover that there is this idea of generational trauma that your mother and your mother's mother gave to you, and is genetically embedded in your DNA. It's not even something that you did. So if you have this unnecessary fear of being bad with money, or shame or guilt around money, even when you have money, it's probably not even yours. It's probably something that was given to you that you never asked for, that you now need to figure out how to get rid of it, which is now we're going back into the 3 pillars that I always talk about: mindset, skill set, action set. The first thing on how to get what you want always is the mindset. Am I in the mindset? We have lots and lots of podcasts that we've done. Go back and take a look at some of the great teachers that I've spoken to that teach you and talk about how do you get really this mindset piece in place so that you can believe that what you want or what you're asking for is actually available to you. I mean, without that, what's the freaking point of you doing it anyway? Because then you're in this perpetual battle with yourself. And that is back the double binding message that creates nothing other than this constant up and down. The sine wave I talk about is sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And you want to get yourself to a point where you are so tired of this yourself, of doing this yourself, which is literally where I am, that I said, screw it. I'm just going to throw it all out and I'm going to start with a clean slate. That's why we cleaned out our old YouTube channels. We started a brand new channel, and just to get rid of all this baggage and all this knowledge of all this stuff that didn't work. We went through every website. We've taken down hundreds and hundreds of pages on some of our websites, just stuff that I don't believe anymore, that's not necessary anymore, that's just creating a different message of friction, a message with friction. I want to get rid of all the friction. That's mindset. That you got to get rid of the friction. When you get rid of the friction and you're in the flow, we're going to get there faster. And believe me, I'll let you know how it goes as I'm on the journey myself, because I feel that I'm not impacting enough people. And so I wanted to make the change with purpose, because I really need to impact more people. And if I don't impact more people, I'm not fulfilling my purpose and my destiny. So for some reason, this has been given to me, this desire. I must lean into the desire, and I must now get my mindset straight. The second thing is the skill set. So what do you need to do to get this actually done? I want to say, going back to the system that I built, and it's beautiful for me to see how all of these things really ultimately come together. We know that there's 3 pieces of business in the transformation journey. One is the build phase, where you create the business model. That's what we do, and turn your talent into a business. Then there is building the system, which is the growth phase. It's like, what are the systems and the processes? How do we take our clients through the whole journey? What are the products? What are they called? How much do we charge for it? What are we teaching them? So that way we can build this pipeline. That's number 2. We do that in Signature Growth System. And then the third piece is then the optimal alignment. That's then where we go either into the accountability group, or you go and do the private work with me, where we build the optimal alignment growth plan. That's for businesses when you really need to make yourself obsolete. And you say, okay, I've got it figured out, but how do I take myself out of it so I can actually enjoy the freedom I came here for? And the idea for you now is to say, where am I in this journey, right? Am I in build? Am I in grow? Or am I in scale? Do I have the mindset? Do I need to learn additional skill sets? And am I taking consistently the actions? Because if the mindset is clear, this is where I'm going. Now you need to learn the skill set. Well, what does somebody do that adds spirituality to strategy? What are the measures what do we actually need to do? Well, we need to shut down YouTube channels. We need to build a new YouTube channel. We need to look at old content and see if it's relevant. We need to let go of what's not relevant anymore. We need to freshen the stuff that we can still use, that we believe in, that's aligned with us. So there's a lot of actions. This part usually is a lot of hard work because you now need to learn all kinds of new things. And then, of course, there's lead generation. And how do you get the people into the pipeline, which I know most of us, you, me, struggle with at some point, because with the lack of the clarity of the message, you can't really go out and attract the people to you that are attracted to this kind of message. So unless you have that message clear, then you can't attract the right people. And if you can't attract the right people, you can convert, you can sell, you can grow, and you cannot scale. So this is why all of these things really kind of go in order. So now you're taking these massive actions. And in this part of the taking of the action, sometimes it definitely can feel like all you do is work and you see no return. And that's when meditation or a spiritual practice really comes in. As I am right now going through these processes myself, which is why I'm sharing this really openly with you, that's been really part of this journey to make this image of who I am and how I show up more relatable to you. So you see that even when you are in different places, that this method or the terminology or the process of how it works really never goes away. You just have figured out how to take the first step, and now you repeating this on the second step, and then there's another step and another step, and that will continue unless you go to a place in your life at some point where you say, I'm done learning. And believe me, we see a lot of that right now, where people say, this is what I believe in, this is how far I go, I don't want to learn anything else, this is my belief system. I'm insisting my belief system is the only belief system. Those are people that typically say, talk about the good old times and things are not the way it used to be. Well, no, they're really not. Those are people that have made a conscious decision to get to stay stuck in this particular pattern and to never learn anything else, and to live in that period of time that they have designed or accepted as their reality, which is perfectly okay in their choice. But that's not what we talk about in growth architecture. That's not what we talk about in building businesses. Because just with AI alone, in the post of the pandemic, and God knows what else is coming, elections and conflict, is you better be getting really clear about who you are in this world and what you can do to help and what you can do to serve people and how you are going to show up in the world. So now with this particular piece of having taken the action, now we are going into, really making sure the mindset's on, the skill sets are there. So you probably will have to learn new skills, lead generation, optimizing, search engine optimization, testing different content, giving yourself long enough to make things actually work. So I want to sum this up now. How do you get more of what you want? You get more of what you want by doing whatever you can. Give yourself the time, the freedom, the hike, the walk, the swim in the water, the taking the dog out, playing with the kids, anything that sometimes has a repetitive motion where your brain actually has freedom to think, so that these thoughts come in. You want to ask yourself these questions. Bring in what's mine, take away what's not mine. Be prepared for the fallout from that, because the stuff that you're not will be taken away, as I have found out. And step into this more surrender and trust-driven aspect of your life, right? I mean, you can't control anything. And how much control is there anyway? So you want to go into this and say, and I've said this before, if an oak tree can move the roots, so a seedling can grow without a brain, with just this natural intelligence, imagine what you are going to be capable of when you tap into what I refer to as one source. Some people call it God, universe, spirit. You pick a word that has no friction for you, because again, it's all about the friction. You want to get rid of the friction in your life. You want to start to get into the flow and feel more the abundance that the universe, spirit has for you, and truly believe that at the end of the joke, there's nobody there that goes and says, nah, 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 the joke's on you. That has to be a belief system that you completely eradicate. You have to believe that every step that you take is getting you to that peace, to that moment in your life where you step into the power that you're supposed to have, impact the people that are drawn to you to leave whatever impact in the world you came here to do. I hope you find this helpful. As always, any feedback, comments, insights are appreciated. As you know, I'm going to be honest here. I'm testing all kinds of different messaging, seeing what resonates with you, so I kind of can follow the breadcrumbs and give you more of the things that are helpful for you. If you are interested in working with me, just go to uncoverysession.com, fill that out, book a 15-minute session. It is going to me directly because I really am seeking these conversations right now. So if that's something that resonates, just schedule it. And then let's talk about if there's anything I can do to help you figure out where it is that you want to go and how to get there. And we'll be super honest and transparent about on whether or not I'm the right person and whether or not you're ready for it and on whether or not it is the right thing for you. So in this kind of honesty, I think it's a much better conversation to have. And with that, I say thank you so much for being here. Share this episode with somebody who may be saying to you, how do I get more of what I want? Just forward them this episode. I'll be so grateful. Thank you so much. And until next time, and goodbye. So appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for listening to the entire episode. Please subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star review, a comment, and share this episode with one more person so that you can help us help more people. Thank you again. Until next time. Goodbye.